We've discussed how royal beards held symbolic power, but let's now zoom out and consider the fascinating world of grooming in ancient Egypt as a whole. What's even more surprising is that the art of beard care was part of a much larger personal care tradition. Egyptians, regardless of their social status, were fanatical about cleanliness and grooming. This obsession went beyond just beards and into the realm of body care, and it's fascinating to see how it tied into their daily lives. Imagine being a typical Egyptian, waking up early to prepare for the day. You might not have a luxurious gold beard to tend to, but you still had to make sure your hair and beard were neat and presentable. Ancient Egyptians used a variety of tools and techniques to ensure they stayed clean and well-groomed. Combs and razors were everyday items for Egyptians, and their love for grooming went hand in hand with their religious beliefs. The idea of cleanliness was so central to Egyptian culture that even temples would have designated areas for purification rituals, including the washing of the face and grooming of the beard. For the common folk, hair removal was as important as beard grooming. Men and women alike often shaved their heads or trimmed their facial hair using razors made of copper or bronze, which were both durable and sharp enough for the task. Hair removal was considered an essential part of personal hygiene, but also linked to the idea of purity. In fact, priests, who often had to maintain strict purity standards, would completely shave their heads and faces to keep in line with religious customs. But Egyptians didn't stop at just razors and combs. They were some of the earliest innovators of cosmetic products. They invented and perfected a wide range of beauty treatments, many of which are still used in some form today. For instance, Egyptians were known for creating the first form of kohl eyeliner, which they would apply around their eyes for both practical and aesthetic reasons. The eyeliner helped protect their eyes from the harsh sun, but it also added to their overall grooming ritual, showing that beauty and utility were intertwined in Egyptian culture. It wasn't just the wealthy who could afford these luxuries. Egyptians found ways to make these items accessible to a wider audience. For example, oils and balms were often created in simple homes and could be traded at local markets. While the ingredients in royal products were often rare and expensive, common Egyptians still used locally sourced herbs and oils for their grooming routines. Historians still argue about the extent to which the average Egyptian engaged in elaborate grooming rituals compared to the elite. Was it more of a cultural necessity, or was it simply a way to participate in a larger social identity? Whatever the case, one thing is clear. Grooming, including beard care, was not just for the rich and powerful. It was part of a widespread cultural practice that affected nearly everyone in Egyptian society. But even with all the intricacies of grooming rituals, beards still stood out as a major marker of identity. Whether it was a simple rough beard or the highly polished, gold-adorned beards of the pharaohs, facial hair was one of the most visible ways to communicate power, wealth, and social standing in ancient Egypt. And despite their focus on cleanliness and grooming, the Egyptians never lost sight of the spiritual significance that beards held.